Hey everybody, what is going on? It's your boys the 33. Welcome to Anarchy Analysis's Week 1 predictions for the LEC and LCS in 2020. And oh boy, I am ready for this season. We've got some big matches for you in this first week, and we're going to be starting with our predictions for the LEC. Now, this setup here is only for the first week. Week 2, we're obviously going to be running down predictions as well as results from week 1, and as a whole that will mean we're going to be comparing our actual predictions that we made to the actual results, and then hopefully seeing how well they align to our actual end of spring / summer predictions that we made a couple of weeks ago right now. So, let's get into the LEC for you guys. Now, the LEC this year is on 2 days with 5 different matchups for each day, and we're going to start off with Friday and Saturday, respectively, and obviously let's run down every matchup that is on the show. So we're starting with G2 Mad Lions, Vitality SK, Rogue Misfits, Schalke vs XL, Fnatic vs Origin, and on Saturday we have Mad Lions Vitality, XL Rogue, Origin Schalke, Misfits Fnatic, and SK G2. Now let's run down each game and who I feel is going to win it. Starting with G2 Mad Lions. Now this is going to be a very interesting matchup for me, and it's a very good starting match to the year between the unchanged finalists of the last season at Worlds versus a very strong European Masters team every time they turn up there. Plus, with the addition of Humanoid from Splice, this is a very nice team. And overall, it's going to be hard to pick, but you could expect to see an upset with Mad Lions winning. However, I've gone with G2. G2 showed last season why they're a dominant force, and I think they're going to start this year in the same stride as what they finished last. And I feel this team could be going for an unbeaten year this year. I think they've got a high possibility. Who knows? But that's my prediction for the first match. Let's move on to our second match. Vitality versus SK Gaming. Now, this match is a very close one in my opinion. This is, in my predictions, the bottom of the barrel 2 teams, your 9th and 10th place team, and I honestly couldn't really choose. I edged it to SK here because they have formed a solid team, obviously, with players from European leagues, and I can see them outplaying in team fights against Vitality, who don't really have that roster that they're known for. It's not that wild surprise pick roster that will bring out, say, a random LeBlanc here, a Fizz, because they've lost Jizuke. Attila's not playing anymore for them, and it's not the same roster. Moving on to our next matchup, I honestly think this is going to be another close matchup between Rogue and Misfits. Rogue have ended last season with a very strong performance from their very rookie-ish team. They had so many new players during the LCS, LEC last year that I honestly think it's going to be a very good season for them, and I've put them to win this game. I feel they're going to beat Misfits here, and Misfits kept most of their core roster, but I just don't think the team has better players, as Rogue's team had a lot more growing room, shall we say, in a sense that they've got so many rookies last year that are coming into their second season now in the LEC, and I think they can do a lot of work for their roster. Now moving on to Schalke XL. This is, for some people, probably the weirdest choice that someone could make as a fan of the LEC, and I've actually gone with XL here. I feel that this team has drastically improved in the off-season, picking up Norskeren, who's now called Tor, and Patrick from Origin is an improvement to what they had before. And this team I can see doing very well, definite playoff contender for this year. And I feel they're going to start the year off right by beating a very tough opponent in Schalke. Moving on to the last matchup of Friday, it is probably going to be the match of the day. It's between Fnatic and Origin, and a lot of people will probably edge this to Fnatic. However, I've given it to Origin, and this was the spring split 2/3/1st playoff match, because the way the playoffs were shaped up, the team played here for the second, third place, in the sense that second goes against first to decide the winner of the league. A bit weird how they set up playoffs, but I've put OG here, and I think they also, like XL, had a fantastic off-season, picking up Upset. The only real player that I could see them improving on is Nukeduck, but he is a solid and experienced mid laner who can obviously show how good he is still. He's very dominant as a player. It's saddening that he missed out on Worlds this year. I thought Origin would have been the third team, not Splice. Splice obviously now aren't a thing, so yeah, that is going to be probably the third place team in the league currently, if not Fnatic are. But yeah, that is how I've rounded out day one of the LEC. Let's move on to the second day, and we're opening with another good matchup, Mad Lions versus Vitality. It's a very interesting matchup. The new team here in Mad Lions, I do believe, will actually pick up the victory against Vitality. It's going to be the matchup here where they're going to actually showcase their strength on a more dominant level than being put up against the Worlds finalists from this last season. And I think this team is going to show why they're a feared roster against Vitality, and I think it's going to be a dominant win there. Next we have a very close matchup again. This first week of games are going to be very, very interesting indeed, and it's going to be XL versus Rogue, two teams I've etched into the playoffs who have a very strong lineup, each of them, and I've given this one over to Rogue. Now obviously I'm going to talk about team cohesion here. XL last year had a 10-man roster, and it was evident. They were switching between the UKLC team and the main roster team quite heavily between who's playing on the LEC stage and who's playing at home, in a sense. And this year they've gone for a more dominant roster, like more key players that are definitely staying in their first team here in the LEC, with the pickups of Patrick and Norskeren, or Tor as he's now known. But Rogue, I feel, are just going to be a lot more flexible and have a higher fluidity that XL are lacking, shall we say. But this matchup is obviously close. It's probably one of the closer matchups for week one. But yeah, let's move on to the next matchup. And this matchup, a few seasons ago, would have been the second and third place matchup, maybe even third and fourth for most seasons. And it's Origin versus Schalke. And Origin this week are going to do double. I put them to win against Schalke here, and it's the same sort of reasoning I gave before to Origin winning. Schalke, don't get me wrong, have slightly weakened the team by losing Upset, and Upset now being on Origin. I feel he's going to absolutely destroy his former team here, show why Origin wanted him so badly, and basically make it the Upset show. That's what I feel this matchup's going to be, and I honestly won't be surprised if I'm proven wrong and Forgiven absolutely destroys him in lane, but who cares? It's a good matchup, and I'm definitely tuning into that match. And it may be my LEC. See, my LEC Anarchy analysis is either going to be the Rogue XL or Origin versus Schalke for week 1. That is probably my matchup for them. And my LEC one, I've already decided as well. It's going to be a close one either way. But let's move on to the next matchup, Misfits Fnatic. And I pegged Fnatic to lose on day 1. Both these teams I gave the L day 1. So one of them's going to get a win here, and it's obviously Fnatic. Fnatic, yeah, you've lost Broxer and gained Selfmade. It's not that bad of a switch, but the team is obviously strong. You've got a very nice team here that has the current 1v1 world champion in in Bwipo in the top lane, and I honestly think is going to be a very, very good matchup for them. I think they're going to show, hey, we're still here, you're not going to beat us. And to end out the LEC weekend, we have SK versus G2. Is there really any point in going over this matchup? G2 are just going to win. G2 are so good. They're the strongest team in this lineup, and I think they're just going to absolutely destroy SK. It's going to be one of those matches where Perks is going to play Zoe and absolutely dominate lane without trying, really. So, that is the LEC done for this week. Let's move on to the newly laid out LCS with 3 days to cover. As you can see, we've got Saturday and Sunday on the board here. There's 4 matchups each day, and then Monday or Tuesday, as they put on the watch.lolesports.com website, it's on Tuesday for some reason. I don't know why. I put it as Monday in here, I do believe, but let's run down the matchups. We've got C9 TL to open up the day, CLG Dig, 100 Thieves, Golden Guardians, Immortals, FlyQuest, and on Sunday we have Dig, Evil Geniuses, TSM, Immortals, Golden Guardians versus Cloud9, FlyQuest versus CLG. And this is a very, very good matchup for day 1. Surprisingly, this isn't your match of the week, because I thought this might be the Monday game, but there's a different Team Liquid match on Monday that is fair enough. It's a good matchup to have as your match of the week, and it's similar to the one that's being played on the LEC side. But let's run down the predictions for the LCS right now. And the first matchup, C9, Team Liquid, it's going to be obvious. Team Liquid, with the new superstar jungler, is going to come in and absolutely demolish this weakened C9 team. And yeah, I'm not surprised by this matchup if it goes to Team Liquid in any way, shape or form. It is kind of heavily favoured towards Team Liquid. Their roster has stayed pretty much the same. All they've done is gained a dynamic jungler who's looking to pressure the map constantly, who roams phenomenally well and is just an absolute monster to play against if he gets his lease in. But yeah, that's a Team Liquid win that I've given there. Next we have CLG versus Dig. This is probably one of the closer matchups. It's the former Clutch Gaming lineup of Huni. Yep, just Huni. and it's a nice roster put together. You've got basically the leftovers of each team from last year. You've got Froggen, you've got Grig, and a couple of others there that are basically players that have been left out of their lineups from last year or just chucked to the wayside. And I've given this one to CLG. Plain and simple, this matchup is kind of a CLG matchup, really. It's a team built by CLG that is built to be dominant. I can see CLG as a playoff team, so they need to be beating teams like Dig this year, and honestly at being a menace. Next we have 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians, and this matchup I feel is definitely not going to GGU. This year I honestly feel we're going to be seeing the demolition of Golden Guardians being absolutely smashed every week. And I'm generally saying this, I'm thinking Golden Guardians might get the perfect split. The perfect split of losses. Genuinely, their team is probably weaker than most academy teams this year. And it's sad to say that, because you've got former champions in the team like Haunter, and also no, they don't have the other person. I'm thinking of the next prediction, but yeah, this lineup that GGU have isn't good, in my opinion. I can see it crumbling in a sense, and 100 Thieves have maintained a very strong roster, and I can see him dominating this year. And finally, to round up day number 1 in the LCS, we have Immortals versus FlyQuest. And this matchup, I've given to Immortals. Fairly obvious. This Immortals team is built from a very strong team. You've got the MVP of the league, obviously, from last year in Svenskeren and his teammate in Zazel. You've got a very, very dominant team there. And I can see Immortals being a very hard matchup for any team that come up against them. And it should be fun to watch, shall we say. Moving on to Sunday, we have Dignitas versus EG. The first time we're seeing Evil Geniuses this week. And they're playing up against Dig. And I've given this match to EG. It's another one of those matches that is going to be close. This is probably the match of day number 2 of the league. Obviously, day 1 you've got C9TL as the match of the week. Well, match of that day, if you're to watch any. And I think it's going to be close, honestly. It's going to be a good matchup. And I've edged it to EG here. Evil Geniuses are going to beat them and honestly be good in this matchup. Next we have the first showing of TSM this year, and I honestly think this is going to be another close matchup. Whether or not we see how TSM play, where they get that like lucky, and I mean lucky, steal of a Dragon or Baron that they had all throughout last season, is going to be very close. And I honestly didn't know who to give this matchup to. But I've edged it out to Immortals here. I feel they're going to show an absolute dominant surge here against TSM and go 2-0 this week. And I think it's going to be a good matchup for them in their first week. Moving on to our probably another easy pick for anyone involved. C9 versus GGU. C9 win. I've explained what I thought about GGU. I honestly think this will be a very, very easy week for them to lose in, and C9 are going to have a very easy match here. And finally, to end out day number 2 in the LCS, we have FlyQuest versus CLG, and this matchup is one of the matchups that you expect CLG to win, but I could see FlyQuest just narrowly beating CLG here. It's one of them teams that CLG will drop a game to here or there in the league, and I don't think they will this time. I think CLG will beat FlyQuest, but it's that matchup for me in this week that could go either way. I think CLG though will edge it slightly, but who knows. This matchup I'm totally unsure on. And moving on to the last day in Monday, it's the marquee matchups of the week, as they have called it, and it's going to be EG versus 100 Thieves, a very good matchup to say the least for the match of the week, and Team Liquid versus TSM. And a lot of people will probably say, well, you're a TSM fan, you're obviously going to give it to them. Well, maybe not. Who knows? Let's talk about, though, the first matchup of the day. It's going to be EG versus 100 Thieves, and this matchup is going to be an interesting one. It's obviously up there for anarchy analysis for this week, but I do believe it's either TL. It's going to be a TL matchup that I'm doing an anarchy analysis on this week. For the LCS, it's either TSM or C9 as their opponents. Whether or not it's going to be good, but be sure to check out Monday's stream. That's all I'm going to say. But let's talk about EG versus 100 Thieves. This matchup is going to be close. Both new teams in terms of who they've got. Obviously, they've had a few roster changes. That being said, 100 Thieves have kept quite a few of their players. They've gained in Apollo. Cody Sun. They gained Cody Sun in return for Bang. It's a good trade. Cody Sun was dominant last year. Towards the end of the season, he had like 3 or 4 games in a row where he didn't die once. It was only until like the TSM series in regionals where he finally died and lost the game. But it's a very, very good record that player has held. Cody is one of the best ADCs in the league right now and is probably going to be a very dominant player. However, I've given it to EG here. I feel EG can dominate this matchup, showcase why their team has been put together this strongly, and honestly be that threat that people are wanting to see in a team. But yeah, this is going to be a close matchup, but I've narrowly edged it to EG with probably a slight advantage here. And lastly for this video, we have TSM and Team Liquid doing battle on the Rift for the final game of week 1 of the LCS, and this matchup is an interesting one for me because TSM have a very good record against Team Liquid in normal league play. But when it comes to playoffs, in the past few seasons, TSM have been trounced by Team Liquid. But will TSM win this matchup, in my opinion? No. Team Liquid are going to do the double here. They're going to win both games against probably their 2 closest rivals. I mean, it's good for them. They're playing probably the top 2 teams from last year in such quick succession. And they're basically ensuring themselves a good run throughout the year by having to not deal with them until the latter part of the season for the second matchup of the split. It's going to be close. It's another one of those close matchups where it could go either way. But Team Liquid are going to show why they're the current holders of the LCS for so many years in a row, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. Anyway, that is going to be it for this week's predictions. Next week we'll be running down the results of my predictions and honestly breaking down week 2's matches. I already know who's playing everyone, and we're gonna see TSM on this page again because I do believe they're playing EG on day 2. Well, their day 2. Who knows? Anyway, that's going to be it from this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new around here if you want to. And I will see you guys later. Peace out.